cornerbacks are Trumaine Johnson and former Patriot Malcolm Butler. Another Patriot, one of the top free agent offensive linemen, left tackle Nate Solder, needs a new contract. And guard Andrew Norwell, also a free agent, after spending 4 years in Carolina. The most notable free agent running backs, Dion Lewis and Carlos Hyde. Lewis has been a key part of the Patriots offense, and Hyde rushed for a career-high 8 touchdowns last season. Jimmy Graham is a free agent after spending his last 3 years in Seattle, and Tyler Eifert needs a new deal. He struggled with injuries the last 2 seasons. 2 players from the 2014 draft class headline the list of free agent receivers. Allen Robinson, coming off a torn ACL, and previously mentioned by Adam Schefter, Sammy Watkins, spent last season with the Los Angeles Rams. And at quarterback, Kirk Cousins and Drew Brees are the biggest names that need new deals. Cousins has won Super Bowl MVP, campaigning for him to land in Denver. Broncos linebacker Von Miller said this to NFL.com on Saturday about Kirk Cousins. I'm all in 100%. This is a big time for Denver and a big time for the National Football League. You don't really have, especially quarterbacks, become free like that. So it's an exciting time in the National Football League. He is amped up. Overreaction Monday continues with this. The Broncos need the important word there, Kirk Cousins. Overreaction, not an overreaction. Louis Riddick.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's an overreaction. Do they need Kirk Cousins in particular? No. Would they like Kirk Cousins? Could they use Kirk Cousins? Yeah. Do they need an upgraded quarterback? Yeah. Would Case Keenum be a nice fit in Denver? Yeah, I think so. Look, I'm just not in the camp of thinking that Kirk Cousins is a total is a total football operation changer. A guy who really just becomes a pillar, puts the team on its back, makes a total difference, and makes a team, either go from good to being a playoff contender, or being a playoff contender to being a Super Bowl contender. I don't see him that way. Just don't. You won't convince me that he is that. But I will say this. He'll make that team better. He'll make whatever team he's going to better. I just don't know if it's going to be worth the cost that it's going to cost to get him.
And you're either in that camp or you're not. And it's not to say, Phil, that you don't think he's a quality player. No one's arguing that. Just you're talking about the whole total game-changing package. Is it overreaction that Denver needs Kirk Cousins?
I prefer to agree with Lewis when I can and not disagree with him. But in this case, I'll disagree for the sake of good television. And note this, that yes, the Denver Broncos are the 5th overall pick in the draft. Yes, there is a very strong chance that one of the core 4 quarterbacks is still available. At the same time, you've got pieces in place defensively, despite the recent trade of Aqib Talib, that you're basically ready to maybe not compete for a world championship, but darn close right now, at least compete in that division, especially if you have less confidence in Kansas City after the trade of Alex Smith than you did at the end of last season. So I think it is not an overreaction to say they can and will pursue Kirk Cousins. We know that John Elway carries unique influence when pursuing free agents, whether it's quarterbacks or otherwise. He's got pedigree, he's got experience. Looking John Elway face-to-face, that's a unique experience for any quarterback.
Yeah, I think the best way of saying this is, yeah, they need Kirk Cousins. Yeah, they need a quarterback, whatever quarterback that is. And I think in this particular case, it's going to be difficult for them to get Kirk Cousins. I think they dipped their toe in the water. I don't think ultimately in the end that Kirk Cousins is going to wind up in Denver. I think he's going to look at the other places more than he is the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are an attractive situation. They're a team that can win right now. But this is a situation where I would say, as much as the Broncos need him, I don't know that they're going to get him, and they need a quarterback, so it's not an overreaction to say that they need him, if that makes any sense.
Well, look, we'll continue with another marquee quarterback who is technically a free agent, although it sounds so crazy in some ways to say that, because the Saints want Drew Brees, and Drew Brees wants the Saints.
Yeah.
However, there's no deal yet in place. And Phil, you mentioned this morning. If the Saints do not sign Brees to a new deal before Wednesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, the end of the day, business day in the league, $18 million in dead money will count on the team's salary cap. Now, that should provide a lot of motivation to get a deal done, considering that both sides say they want to, that Brees' preference is to stay put and vice versa. So here's our statement on Overreaction Monday. Brees should be listening to offers from other teams, which presumably he is not.
And people are going to probably have a hard time with me saying this. I don't think it's an overreaction. And here's one thing that's important to note with Drew Brees. He is very heavily involved with the NFL's Players Association, one of the foremost faces of the PA, of the Players Union, a guy that has often driven a hard line in his own contract negotiations, in part not because he deserves to get paid, but because he wants the greater good to be impacted as well. And you want to create extra leverage on Wednesday at 4 p.m., or heck, even right now from noon until 4 p.m. on Wednesday, you open up the conversation to other teams because all of a sudden your price tag starts to go. You might add an extra zero somewhere along the line if you talk with whoever it is, whether it's Minnesota, the New York Jets, or any of the teams that we have linked the other top quarterbacks to. So that's why I say not an overreaction.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that premise for sure. He could absolutely take the quarterback market and blow the roof off of it if he said, hey, guess what? I'm going to listen to all the other teams, too, that have millions and millions of dollars of cap space, because that contract would get ridiculous. I'd like to see the number of zeros on that bad boy. Now, but for him himself, it's not an overreaction because I think he knows where he wants to be. He knows where he's at in his career. He knows in this offense, with this coach, in this city, I mean, he's just a made man. He's golden. He's one of the best ever. He's one of the best ever. And I think for him personally, he's good dealing with just the Saints and dealing with the Saints exclusively. But for the greater good, wow. I'd love to see
$35 million a year. Honestly, it'd be crazy.
You know what? It's almost two different arguments, really.
No, exactly.
For Drew Brees or
is he looking out for himself or everyone else? Which I still think he's going to get paid handsomely. He won't have any problems.
Well, it goes back to that Richard Sherman. Did he sign too soon? Richard Sherman found a spot that fit Richard Sherman, and he made the best decision for him and his family. So, I think there's a fair amount to say about that being the case here. Adam, a reaction?
Yeah, listen, I think this is a case where the players know what they want. And Drew Brees has made it no secret that I intend to sign with the Saints. The Saints have said, we expect to get a deal done. So another team right now, the way it looks like it's wasting its time. Saying that, if I were another team, I would go make an offer. Yep. Because what do you have to lose? If they say, no, we're not interested, that's the way it goes. And so to me, if I were a quarterback-needing team, I'd say, okay, Drew, we'll pay you $30 million a year, 2 years, $60 million, all guaranteed. Want to come to our city for a couple of years, take your family here? I don't think it happens. I don't think Drew Brees leaves New Orleans. We all think he stays there, but
listen, you can't blame a man for trying.
I would take a swing.
Make the phone call.
I would take a swing.
Man, Drew can't lose.
No, he can't. The bottom line
is
here,
to be you, Drew.
If you're Drew Brees, it is a win and another win.
That's right.
Win-win. Okay. Remember when the Saints and the Patriots almost made a trade for Malcolm Butler, where, according to our Diana Rossini, she is told there is new interest in getting him to New Orleans as a free agent, but they also have their eyes, she says, on veteran corner Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. John McClain of the Houston Chronicle tweets this: the Texans are making a strong run at Nate Solder. They're desperate for a new tackle. They started 5 different folks at that position last season. Field?
No surprise here, Wendy. The best left tackle on the market, probably the best left tackle available when you factor in also the draft class this year. He's going to get paid a ton of money. The Patriots are interested in retaining him, but the Texans are going to be interested. Any team that has any level of a tackle need this offseason is going to call Nate Solder.
Yeah, he's also in a pretty good position, Louis Riddick.
No question. Because he is the supply.
Yes.
Yeah.
The demand is always there. It's good to be him.
The interesting thing here is that he has a 2-year-old son who's sick. And so when Nate Solder's picking his new home, what's going to be at the top of his list is going to be very different than what's on the top of the list for somebody else, because he's going to make sure that his son can get the care, the medical attention that he needs, whether that's in Houston or New York with the Giants or New England with the Patriots, where they are very comfortable in that system. But again, yes, it's true. Houston has great facilities for his son. Got a great situation on the field. That match couldn't get it done for Nate Solder.
On Wednesday, our roundtable of insiders and experts will be breaking down the stories and all the free agent signings. Again, it's the start of the new league year. That is Wednesday, March 14th. It also means the start of free agency. 4.5 hours of coverage. We're going to need some caffeine, but it starts at 1:30 Eastern with our SportsCenter special free agency countdown, followed by NFL Live on ESPN, and then at 5, our SportsCenter special free agency kicks off on ESPN2. With the Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters on their way to L.A., are they the best cornerback duo in the NFL, or will we see some familiar faces at the top of that list?